It's Nolan. What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Now, y'all know I talked about G Herbo not too long ago, facing his legal issues. He got in trouble for allegedly scamming and taking money from people, pulling some credit card jugs and stuff like that. Now we have G Herbo coming out and saying that money has actually been taken from him. Now, for those of y'all that may not know, G Herbo is signed directly to Machine Entertainment, which is the label of former hip hop artist, songwriter, ghostwriter, etc. Mickey Hostet, and another guy by the name of JB, who I don't really know all that well. Now, in this video where he details this situation, it does not sound like he's talking about Mickey Hostet. Mickey was actually there during their meeting when he was confronting the business partner that's been stealing from him. Ultimately, I think everybody kind of deserves liability because he's blaming the company itself. But to my knowledge, his relationship with Mickey Hostet is still intact, so I don't want to blame him specifically, although the name of the company was named after him because when he was the artist, Mickey Hostet, his nickname was The Machine because of his proficiency in the studio, and he was a damn good lyricist. Without wasting too much time, I'm going to go ahead and play G Herbo's video because it is kind of long. It's over 4 minutes and I want him to explain everything in good detail so then I could just talk about it. So let's just get right into it, shall we?
Yo, it's Big Swerve, man. Hey, everybody that know me, y'all know I don't bring my problems to the internet personal or nothing pertaining to my business at all, but this shit been like affecting my personal day-to-day life. So everybody that know me, y'all know I'm independent. I'm signed to Machine. I've been signed to Machine since I was 16 years old, so I was a minor. My parents had to sign me over, you feel what I'm saying? We've been family, been independent, made history. Boom. So, 16, first and foremost, I signed my publishing away for perpetually for 15 grand. But they claim he ain't know the business. I was young anyway, so bottom line, I got to the bottom of it, of course. We got that back. Been amended that contract so many times. Long story short, over the years, been independent, worked with other labels, Sony Red, Epic, now we in Republic System. I never had a direct deal with the label. It's always been with him, with Machine. So over the years, when we started generating money, probably this was we was on the Sony system, like 19. Pulled me to the side, like, bro, let me run your business for you. I wasn't really business savvy. And this is somebody I trust with my life, like a brother, like a father figure. Let me run your business for you, bro. All right. So from then on, he was running my business, paying my bills, making sure everything paid, staff, everything all ran through him. I really was only playing on my ancillary bread, you feel me? Just having motion on the ancillary, not the residual. I always control the residual. Long story short, 12 years later, I've been hearing rumors that I owed his money, right? That I owe him money. So, and I'm not just sweeping it under the rug. So, long story short, I go get up with him. I'm like, hey, bro, what's up with these numbers? Look at the numbers, one right. And started like just thinking. So, recently, we had a meeting. Me, him, Mick, my old manager. Big Bro was in the room. Coffee was in the room. Big Bro was in the room. His brother was in the room, OB. And my brother Mason was in the room. So we just having a conversation amongst us because I wanted witnesses there. So I talked to him, looked him in the eye, bro, this ain't right, you ain't right. You always control my business, right? You always control the money, right, to him. So it's like, long story short, I'm like, man, bro, it ain't working. You always told me if it didn't work, you was gonna let me out of the contract. So boom, it ain't work. I come to him, man, let me out of the contract, sign me out. Sign me out, 3 copies. But, thing is, I was about to really let him manipulate me because he good at this, to leave out without nothing and just go back and forth between my lawyer and his lawyer, which we are still doing anyways. I'm like, nah, I already had something drafted. I'm like, you have to sign this in good faith. So after we leave the meeting, after we finna leave the meeting, everybody outside, Mick, Coffee, and Mason still outside. I'm just thinking, I'm outside with him, we talking. I'm like, nah, bro, he gotta sign what I have right here. I'm in my head saying this, like, because I know him. Go back in the room with his brother having a personal conversation. I said, brother, for me, you gotta sign this out of good faith. For me. And we had figured out through the lawyers, of course, of course he did it, signed 3 copies. Boom, shake hands after everything, leave. So now, after we finna do the audits and everything, because he know he did bad. It's a long video. It's going to almost 4 minutes. I'm about to sum it up. So I've been getting these calls from like my criminal attorney in Boston. My criminal lawyer been calling me, which he paid. I paid almost a million on this case. He paid because he paid my bills. My lawyer called me because they know each other. Like, man, could you call me? He was using like a tactic with Esther. He's saying I made him sign his contract under duress, and he's trying to like get me arrested for it. And I'm like, he got me blocked. My lawyer like, can you call him? I try to call him on through. I'm like, can you call him? Like, you know what I'm saying? Got me blocked. But he's using these tactics, these manipulative tactics to take advantage. So I'm just coming here to say, like, you can't win, you know? And all artists, young artists, you got to stand your ground, man, with what's right, you know what I'm saying? And I'm blessed to be able to do this, you know what I mean? Have the resources to be able to still provide for myself, my family, go to war in this way, the right way, the legal way, the righteous way, and win. And I just want to look in your eyes and tell you, you can't beat me. You can't.
I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. Herbo is in a fucked up situation, man. Now, me personally, I'm actually a fan of Swerve. You know what I'm saying? I talked a little reckless about him in my previous video because I didn't like that he was out here scamming and pulling these little jugs. It was just dead ass wrong. It was sloppy. And I'm sure to this day, he probably regrets that shit because it was unnecessary. But musically, I like Herbo. As an artist, like an overall person, I've watched some interviews of him. Definitely rock with him, and I feel for him in this situation. I've actually been through something kind of similar. I'll get to my situation in a little bit. But as you can see, he's been with this company since he was 16 years old, a minor. He said his parents had to sign him over, right? Because under the age of 18, you're not legally allowed to consent on your own behalf in a contract, right? This is how her actually got out of her management contract recently, because she signed it on her own volition when she was under 18, and the state of California judged that that was not right. So she recently got the fuck up out of her situation. But for Herbo, his parents actually signed him away. So I don't think that Chicago is going to go back and say that this contract is null and void. I don't think they're going to rule on his behalf in that fashion, right? So that's number one. Number two, he says that he's been with them, never had a direct deal with the company Republic. They had a Sony deal back in 2019. And of course, Machine Entertainment has been the one getting joint venture contracts for the label in order for them to get access to G Herbo. And in a lot of cases, this is what happens to young artists that are coming up in local cities. You get these small labels, these upstart labels, these basically vanity projects. You know, they call them imprints in the industry, where you have somebody, or like production company type things, where you have somebody who has a little studio. You know, they might have a couple producers under their wing. They might even have a couple artists that they're trying to manage. But then the industry is not going to sign a management company. That's very rarely going to happen. So eventually they end up turning their management company into an upstart label. With the upstart label, you start shipping around to the major labels and saying, hey, I have a roster of talent and I want to give you guys access to these artists. And you introduce them most likely to the best artists that you have in your camp. And you say, hey, if you guys want him, you got to bring the company on board. And the labels don't give a fuck, because it's all just a little bit of extra paperwork, a little red tape. But honestly, it's still the label's artists. A lot of times these situations don't go well. A lot of times artists will outgrow those situations because they want to go off and do their own thing. They want to hire new staff. They want to hire new management. So then those ties end up dissolving, right? G Herbo says back in 2019 during the Sony deal, the quote unquote business partner that he's talking about said, hey man, let me run your business. Because at that point, G Herbo was really blowing up. He wasn't just, you know, a buzzing local artist that had a couple mixtapes that blew. At this point, G Herbo was now a national artist, getting his first taste of radio play. He's getting songs with Drake. He's getting looks, right? So it's like, yo, your business is getting out of hand. Let me run it, because you need to focus on being an artist, being the talent. This is a tactic that people use, right? Now, if you got somebody that really works on your behalf, you know what I mean? Which you really can't fully trust anybody. But some people take those chances. A lot of people take those chances and lose. Now you got this guy running your company, keeping track of all your finances, paying your bills, paying your lawyer fees, because G Herbo's gotten into a considerable amount of trouble since he's been out. So he's paid all type of legal fees, and this one guy has been responsible for making sure all of these things are happening properly, I suppose. But now, all of a sudden, G Herbo hears down the pipeline that he supposedly owes this guy money. How do I owe you money when you've been doing shit with my money? You're the one controlling both your finances and mine. How do I owe you anything? So once he starts hearing rumblings, he goes back to their old handshake agreement stating, hey, you always told me if I was not satisfied, if it's not working out, I have the right to leave and you will let me out the contract. They honored that word. They signed off on 3 copies of the paperwork to say G Herbo can leave, right? But then G Herbo had his own paperwork as a secondary backup contracts to make sure that everything says exactly what he needs it to say, right? So that he can go be scot-free, go get his own situation, do whatever he wants. And now he gets a call from his lawyers, his criminal lawyers out in Boston saying, hey man, what the fuck is going on? Did you threaten this man? Because that's basically what's going on. If the criminal lawyer is hitting him talking about criminal charges, possibly, that former business partner is basically saying he threatened me. Whether he says violence, whether you was going to jump him, if you had a strap on you. Because if you sign a contract under duress, that nullifies the contract. Meaning, if you take that to a judge and they determine that this contract was indeed signed under duress, G Herbo is going to continue to still be locked in with Machine Entertainment and his business partner that's been taking advantage of him since he was 16 years old. And there's a couple little ways that people could do shit, man. So I haven't been in a minor situation like where I was underage signing a contract, but I did have a management situation with a guy a couple years ago, and he told me the same thing, man. You know, this is what we have on paper. We're going to agree to work together. I think it was maybe 2 years, something like that. But he was like, you know, at the end of the first year, we'll evaluate our right to go into year number 2, thing called an option. Just like in the NBA or, you know, stuff you hear about in sports where the players have the option to leave on the last year of their contract or stay. Just like teams have the option to pick up your contract and give you an extension or let you play out your contract and leave. Same type of concept. We didn't even get through the first year. We got about to month 8, right? Month 8 or 9. Something like that. And he's like, yo, I want to exercise my option to go into year 2 with you. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, cool. Then we end up having an incident. But in the beginning, we also said, this is what's on paper. But if it's not working out between us, we go scot-free. This is just a contractual agreement. Boom, boom, boom. So I say, hey, I want to take you up on the offer. I don't think this is a good idea. It's not a good look. Shit's not going the way it should. I want to get out, right? And in the beginning, he said, all right, cool. It's all good. Start asking me questions, A couple days later, he's like, hey, man, you still want to do that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, bet. You're going to owe me thousands of dollars if that's what you want to do. Because remember, I wanted to pick up my option and you're going to have to pay me out for X amount of months based on what I was going to make with you because I was going to exercise my option. Now you're in breach of contract. He tried to even say that I was in breach of contract for trying to do something with a fucking ice cream company that I never even had any business dealings with. I just met them on the street during a video shoot and he claimed I was going to violate my contract. All type of bullshit, right? Little did he know that I had a lawyer in pocket, an entertainment lawyer in pocket that came and put some pressure on his ass. And when I say pressure, I don't mean physical pressure. I mean legal pressure, which is legal. And he ended up just going the fuck on his own way. But this is a tactic. Like the dude tried to hit me with sunset clauses, all type of shit before I got my lawyer involved. And the sunset clause is if you leave your management before the contract is up, there's a certain amount of time that you still got to pay them for. That's the sunset, right? It basically solidifies their financial future for a year, 2 years, whatever it is, if you happen to leave before the agreed time period. So being that I've been through it before, I've seen it firsthand, it was a lot less stakes at hand. Of course, I never made millions of dollars, never paid millions of dollars to nobody. But I just want to let y'all know this shit can happen to anybody. That's why G Herbo is coming out saying, for all you artists out there, hey, you just button your shit up. So this is going to be a very interesting end of the year for G Herbo. You know what I'm saying? Because between having to serve prison time, which I think they sentenced him to like 3 years, to possibly, he may have to serve all 3 or do a half that bid and then do probation or some shit like that, trying to get out of this contract, all of this stuff. Going into 2024, I think G Herbo is going to have to make a lot of big decisions. He's going to have to decide what he wants to do with his life, where he wants to go, who he's going to be as a man. There's going to be a lot going on with him, but I'm interested to see how it pans out. At the end of the day, talent always in the music industry has the opportunity to win. I want to see him win. I want to see him break away from some of the clowns in his circle, right? I want to see him elevate, maybe get the fuck up out of Chicago if he hasn't already. But y'all go ahead and let me know what y'all think of all of this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bell for all updates, and I will see y'all on the next one, all right? Much love and respect, y'all. Peace. It's Nolan.